So it's
Welcome
pretty
to the
crazy.
Knuckleheads
But,
of Liberty.
the Babylon Bee just seems to be a day ahead of reality every time with their satire. And they said Dems paused 6 hearings to call for insurrection. And of course, this is I mean, to be fair, they got a signal from whoever the leaker was for a couple of months that, hey, people were literally willing to assassinate Judge Kavanaugh over this.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, right on cue, they stopped their hearings knowing that this is going to come out. The January 6 hearings, which were the hearings looking into insurrection yet again of Donald Trump, because like I said, we've had two impeachment hearings now, and now we have this insurrection hearing. We talked about that before on the show. It's kind of loaded in one direction by Nancy Pelosi. So it's, like yet another witch hunt. I mean, I don't know when we're going to end these witch hunts. Probably, even, I imagine even when Trump is buried and dead, we will still have insurrection hearings.
Probably will. Probably will.
But anyways, it's absolutely crazy. I mean, the Democrats are literally running around out there calling this now illegitimate. This is another branch of government, and they are out in the mobs yelling that this is all illegitimate. And I think I had an image somewhere of AOC, maybe not in this one, I guess. Darn it. But yeah, she was right out in the middle of some of these crowds yelling for that this was a illegitimate. And that's what you hear all of these Democrat leaders yelling, that this is illegitimate, with crowds of protesters screaming. And, that starts to go in the direction of sedition, I think. I mean, this is a legitimate branch of government, and they are out there churning up mobs yelling that this is illegitimate. So I personally, as a libertarian, I kind of think we should be free to say those things, but they're literally trying somebody for say to peacefully march to the Capitol and fight like hell. And that's what you hear these people saying constantly out here about the Supreme Court decision. What do you guys think about this?
Well, I don't think we should use the word hypocrisy, hypocrites, accuse the Democrats of being hypocrites, because we're going to sound like broken records here, especially Leon and I both. I mean, we're equally guilty of this moniker that we keep throwing around about these Democrats, and they're I can't even say it. It starts with an H. It's the H word. Okay. And I don't want to say it because I sound like a broken record. But if you can try some bunch of people for insurrection about an illegitimate election result, and then at the same time, it's okay to call the Supreme Court decisions illegitimate, then something's wrong.
And by the way, before you go
the
on,
H word, Tim, the H word.
but before you go on,
don't say it, Leon. Don't say
it. We found our image. Here is AOC screaming with a crowd, illegitimate, and she's chanting illegitimate. They reply back, illegitimate. She says illegitimate. So there's no room at all for any kind of ambiguity.
Well, I heard they beefed security up around the Supreme Court, put a fence up there to keep riffraff from protesting and then invading the Supreme Court halls and pinning poor Justice Clarence Thomas in his room, in his private den or wherever he goes. I don't know. I just keep hearing this. Are they afraid of these Democrats? Is that what's going on?
Wow. Yeah, boy.
I wouldn't be. Well, how could they be afraid of the Democrats? They're trying people for doing the same thing. They would not dare do anything like that to the Supreme Court now, would they? Is that why they put the fence up there?
Never. But even though we are making comments about these things and we kind of joking about it, but there's a really big issue here that's going on that we should really pay attention to. Now, the Roe versus Wade decision, we know had a very weak legal foundation. Whether you're for abortion or you're against abortion, Roe versus Wade had a very weak legal foundation. Everybody, every constitutional scholar will tell you this. Okay, the foundation was weak, and that that right of abortion was made out of thin air. But Tim, you're right. It's another branch of government, the Supreme Court, in this case, the judicial branch. They have made a decision on something. But yet now we have the Democrats marching in the streets, telling it this is illegal, it's illegitimate, and on they are going. Like if the Supreme Court itself has no legitimacy. Now you think about that for a second. When we see lawlessness in the name of social justice, that's okay. When we see lawlessness in the terms of, say, January 6th, that's not okay. They want us to be selective in who we prosecute for lawlessness. This seriously undermines our constitutional republic. The tolerance of lawlessness in our society is a serious, serious problem. And not only the tolerance of lawlessness, but the selective prosecution of the lawbreakers is an even bigger problem, because these people are now picking winners and losers in the prosecution of crime. This is a big problem. This is an attack upon our constitutional republic, and this is an attack upon the very nature of the values of Western civilization, which have brought us to where we are today. This is a big problem, even though we're joking about, AOC and idiocy. But this is a big problem.
Well, so if I was the statue of justice and looking at the scales of justice,
the blindfold,
and I was, would this be the Democrats' way of looking at the scales of justice? Like,
without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Okay.
If you're using that eye mask as a COVID mask, they'd be completely looking at the scales.
All I had was a napkin from the hotel, so I had to use what I had.
Fauci would be proud.
No matter what matter what part of your face you cover up, Fauci would probably be proud.
It's true. It's true.
Well, one of the things too I wanted to bring out, and I didn't quite hit on that too, is that this has gotten a little bit close to some violent pounding on the buildings and other things in places like Arizona. They've knocked down the fences on the state house and have been up kicking at the doors and other things. In fact, if we could get a visual of that, I had that up just before we left last. And here the protesters are. They've knocked over a fence and they're up banging against the doors. Suspiciously close to the insurrection they're talking about from January 6th. Although I don't think the Justice Department will be out there, because they have the correct political flavor for this Justice Department.
Exactly. But selective prosecutions and the tolerance of lawlessness. That's what's going on there. You're right.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, always.